All right, Chief. Welcome to Hammer. Today I'm going to tell you all about how I took an army that I have never played before, did not own any of the models, and managed to get onto the podium at the world's largest world event, the Welsh Open. Let's have a little look. So what was the Welsh Open? The Welsh Open was a singles tournament hosted by Ollie Mather of Team Wales, hosted at the Firestorm venue in Cardiff over the weekend of the 25th and the 26th of October. Had a spooky theme, it had some custom scenarios, a few cool sort of tricks up the sleeve, and it was really all very sort of Halloween themed. Really quite cool. So what was it that I took? Have a look. And it was Vampire Count. So Vampire Count is an army I struggle because it seems like it has a lot of complex moving parts. It's not an army I've quite got my head around. I played a few online games, practiced online games, but I've never played it on the table until my very first round. In fact, I didn't actually own any of the models. I had to rely entirely on the courtesy of Team Wales to lend me models. There was about 4 people that lent me various different types of models for this, and I am very grateful for them. So very much for putting that together. So what was it that I took? I had Nigel, the Master Necromancer, as my general. He was on a Mortis engine, Wizard level 3, on Necromancy with a Spell Familiar for the extra spell, Skull Staff for the extra dispel, and Talisman of Protection because you really need a ward on that guy. He was backed up by Lord Razorbatch, Master Necromancer level 4, also on Necromancy with a Scepter of Denoir for the additional raising. Now, they had a couple of shouty friends, Karen, Whisperer of Managers, and Karen 2 takes no prisoners, both Tomb Banshees. I did also throw in Kieran the Creeper, Cairn Wraith, because I thought that it would be good to have lots of ethereal units in case I run into things like Cathay or Tomb Kings. To round out the character section, we have White Goodman of the Purple Cobras, who is a White Lord with a great weapon, BSB, Charm Shield, and the Helm of Commandment for the additional weapon skills. Fairly standard loadout, nothing really too spectacular about that or unique. The rest of the army was the Undead Poet Society, which was 27 Graveguard with great weapons, drilled, full command, magic resistance 1, and the Drakenhof banner for the 5-up regen save. We also had 2 units of 20 zombies, the 40k fan club and the Cardiff Sunday morning welcoming committee. These zombies almost always ended up being units of 40, and it was just it was great to see big chunky units. To round off the rest of the list, we had the flying section, which is the Air Corps Brigade, 3 Fellbats, and 2 Terror Bats, or Terrorgeists, Janet and Shilava Nibble, which rounded out the whole army. I thought that this would be a really good list to sort of be able to push for big wins, with the 2 Terrorgeists being quite mobile. The Fellbats, there was a few scenarios that required capturing baggage trains, which I thought with their unit strength 9, they would be pretty good at doing. The Terrorgeist I thought would be quite good at pushing sort of for big wins and be able to smash sort of places. And also the whole army, there's 5 Screams in it and 2 Necromancy spells. So overall, probably quite a solid start. So well, let's have a little look at my journey. So it started off arriving in Cardiff Airport on a very wet Friday evening. Going out with a few drinks with a few friends. Nick from Team France, or wherever you are now, Nick. You are a mobile man. Very cool. Just a nice little chilled Friday evening to sort of get our feet. This is what Friday evening in Cardiff looks like. Wet. And a casual street fight. This is like 8 p.m. I ended up, you can see where I went for dinner. But the next day, we ended up going to the venue. Started off with a nice little breakfast at a very nicely named cafe. And headed over to Firestorm Games, the venue, where the sun always shines, with rainbows on it. Fantastic venue, by the way. I really thoroughly enjoyed the bar, because the bar actually had my very favorite cider, Lily's cider. Really good. Really good. Let's have a little look at the venue for when we arrived. It was absolutely massive. Really big, spacious, airy, not too noisy. Has a fantastic store, which I'll be honest, I did not spend enough time in. I really wish I had more time to have a look at that, but it was just like so well stocked. And there's an upstairs section, which is to be honest where the top tables were, and that's where I spent most of the weekend. Although the section down here actually looked like it was really a lot of fun, so it was a bit of a shame that I didn't end up being there for at least one game. So this is me heading up to the top for my first round game, just getting a little panel of what the place is like. You should be able to see, hopefully, the bar. That bit there is the cafe food bar area. Really, really good. Really well stocked and yeah. Not open as late as I wanted to be on the Saturday, but still, it was nice. They did want us out eventually. And plenty of tables. There was 80 people attending, so we had 40 tables between the top and the bottom half. It never really felt crowded at any point. So yeah, really, really, really good. Oh, Jack. All right. This is Ollie. This is our TO, glorious TO, and showing us exactly how to mount a Welsh sheep. It's very good to get a man of experience when it comes to that. So I know you are probably sick and tired of listening by step battle reports. This unit moved here, that unit there. I'm going to try something different, and I'm just going to give you an overall overview of how the match went, any key points, and sort of how it ended up. Nothing to do with the fact that I've completely forgotten how any of those went. So let's start off with my game one opponent. It was Richard Kilby. Now, Richard actually has his own YouTube channel. He has recently started doing a lot more old world content, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. He actually has his own review of this first game, and I thoroughly recommend you check it out. He is the Dragonheart, Prince of Wales, and you can find him on the full link there as well. So definitely check it out. Now, Richard actually played only the first day. He had a few complications that meant he couldn't play the second day, but he did say he really enjoyed the first game. So he didn't actually get a final placing per se because he didn't finish the 5 games. But he did take Vampire Count. He has, again, on his YouTube channel, covered off how he put them together, what his thoughts are behind it. So I really recommend you follow that to have a little look and see. But what did he take? He took a Master Necromancer on the Mortis Engine, level 4, on Necromancy with the lore familiar. He had the Strigoi Ghoul King, Dark Acolyte, Beguile, that's leadership test in order, or you hit on 6s. Wizard level 1 on Necromancy with a Giant Blade, Talisman of Protection. Nasty Choppy Lord on foot, really, really nasty. He had the White Lord, Shield, BSB, fine. We had 5 Dire Wolves, 25 Graveguard with Shield, full command, and a War Banner. He had 21 Skeleton Warriors, also with full command, Standard of Hellish Figure, which I believe is reserve move. He had 21 Zombies with a Standard of Musician, a Terrorgeist, and 8 Blood Knights with full command and the Drakenhof Banner for Region 5. It was a really punchy army, and it was real pleasure to see. It was really, really pretty on the table. Game 1 had a special scenario, so everybody got a free miniature, 3D printed miniature of a Banshee. Now, everybody else who wasn't a Vampire player got to use that as a Banshee, and all the Vampire players, because giving them yet another screen would be a bit ridiculous, they got to use that one as a Cairnwraith. So both myself and Richard had a free Cairnwraith just roaming around and just being a real nuisance, so that was really quite useful. Other than that, it was upon the Field of Glory with 2 strategic locations and baggage train. Fairly straightforward. This is what the setup looks like. I only did this for the first game, just to give you an idea of what it looked like. It had a really nice baggage train as well. Much better than my attempt, which again was very mediocre because I borrowed everything. So it's a very mishmashy army there. So, this is roughly what it looked like at deployment. We've got my terror bats in the bottom left, all my infantry stuff in the middle, some fell bats in the right. He did a similar thing where he put everything in the middle and a bat opposite each other. So turn 1, fairly straightforward. I pushed. Did I get turn 1? No. I got turn 2. Richard rolled a higher, so he decided to take turn 1. Wasn't a huge amount of movement on his front. My stuff sort of pushed forward as much as it could. Things raised. Fairly standard. Nothing too exciting. Turn 2, he, I believe, screamed at my Terrorgeist and killed it. I screamed at his Terrorgeist and killed it. And then basically we were engaged in combat from turn 3 onwards. You can actually tell, here's a nice shot, action shot of just everything in combat, and it looked really quite cool because it was just lots and lots of just rolling dice every turn. So I thoroughly enjoyed this game, just getting stuck in pretty early doors. But at the end of that, I chewed through most of his army. He had his Strigoi Ghoul King with a unit of skeletons here at the back. They got a little bit held up with his zombies being in front. I think he sort of deployed it a little bit narrow, and I went in there to try and I basically killed everything in front of it, and then went in to kill that. So at the end of the game, Richard had his White Lord BSB on 1 wound versus the rest of my army. He did kill both the Terrorgeists, and it looks like he killed the normal Cairnwraith, and I killed the rest of his army. So it was a fairly convincing big win. 19-1 in my favour, and a really good game. So that put me into game 2 against Matthew Clayton. I've seen Matthew's name around before. I know he plays Warriors of Chaos almost religiously. I have never played him before, so this was the first time that we played against. Matthew ended up finishing 8th at the tournament, so a really, really tough game. And what did he have? He had a Chaos Lord on a dragon with a favour, Mark Zinch for the MR. He had Exalted Champion, again, on a dragon, Mark Zinch, 2 favours, Armours of Meteoric Iron for the 5-up armor save that doesn't get modified, and a 5-up regen as well. Really, really, really nasty. On top of that, he had 6 Chaos Knights, which were undivided with the MR2. There was 24 Chaos Warriors, big chunky unit of Chaos Warriors, with Mark of Undivided, MR2, Icon of Darkness for the -1 to hit, otherwise full command, and a Warpfire Dragon, which is level 1. I don't think he ever really cast any spells with that, so I don't think that really played a part in it. I thought, triple dragon, we'll see how it goes. This had a special scenario, so it was the Headless Horseman. At the beginning of the turn, you roll a dice to randomly determine which terrain feature the horseman has been slumbering in. The closest unit to the center of this terrain piece takes D6 Strength 5 AP 2 hits. So I thought this scenario would work in my favor, and this is one of the reasons why I took Vampire Counts, because there was a few of these scenarios where there was extra damage dished out, and I thought, who better to take the extra damage than Undead, who can basically res everything back and they don't really care about that. As it happened, I really got hampered by this, and I just kept getting hit with these D6 Strength 5 hits, and it was always on a unit that it wasn't zombies, it wasn't the Graveguard, it wasn't the stuff that was easy to raise. It was the stuff that was actually really quite tough. So the Horseman actually killed my Fellbats. It put some wounds on my Terrorgeist. It just did wounds to lots and lots of stuff. I think Matthew lost a couple of Chaos Warrior dudes, and then the Dragons didn't really care about it. So it was drawn battle lines, which is the lot of crisscross scenario. Again, we had Baggage Strain and Strategic Locations 3. Here you can see in the bottom left, I set up my Terrorgeists in the left-hand side, Graveguard in the middle, zombies either side. Matthew set up his Chaos Warriors here beside his baggage train, and then spread out with his dragons. Turn 1, we basically spent maneuvering, trying to make sure I don't get all 3 dragons into the one unit at the same time. He kept getting closer. I started getting to range to scream at stuff. It was looking okay until it wasn't. So here's basically where it turned. I believe this is turn 4. I thought it was a little bit earlier. But basically what happened was, in the previous one, you can see there's a unit of zombies. My unit of zombies here in the bottom left corner. Matthew put all 3 dragons into that unit of zombies. I thought, great. If you're stuck with zombies, that means I can scream at you. However, what happened was he actually killed the zombies in my turn, which meant that he got an overrun. He got the maximum possible overrun. He managed to test a reform, and that actually gave him a flank charge on my Mortis Engine General. Rookie mistake. It was my second game with vampires on the table, and I hadn't quite got the positioning correct, and this was a really big mistake. It was sort of coupled with the fact that I think I didn't pass really any ward saves or regen saves, and my Mortis Engine died in one round of combat versus his Exalted Champion Dragon. So really, really painful. I've lost my general. Things are starting to crumble. It's not looking good. So yeah, things are basically, and I thought at this point, okay, if you lose your general as a vampire, that's a 20-0, right? Which is a shame in game 2. I thought this is probably going to go south really quickly. So I was basically trying to scramble for points, trying to preserve stuff as much as possible. But as things are crumbling on leadership test 2 and 4, it just wasn't going very well. I believe my Parageists imploded, zombies imploded, and the Graveguard eventually started to go down as well. However, there was a moment in the game where my Graveguard got an overrun that could have got me into the flank of his general, and that could have maybe allowed me to maybe get a bit of combat res or something, or do something with it. But as it happened, it wasn't quite as angled as it should have been. And in the end, I did manage to get some points out of it. I managed to get 3, but Matthew got a big 17 out of that. I think I lost everything apart from, I think I had the Necromancer left. So basically, almost tabled. Everything got destroyed. And of his, I think I only destroyed the Warp Fire and maybe got some points through objectives. One other thing I found quite interesting, and I think you see it in this turn 4, is I threw a Terrorgeist into his Chaos Warriors. Now, in my head, a Terrorgeist is like a dragon, right? Nah, I was wrong. I thought a Terrorgeist would be able to sort of crunch through a unit of infantry, but actually the amount, the decent saves that Chaos Warriors had, and the lack of sort of damage output that the Terrorgeist had, really hampered it. One thing I didn't realize at this stage is actually you could also scream while charging into combat, allegedly. A trick that I didn't really realize, and maybe that could have killed a few more Chaos Warriors, maybe knocked over a rank. But as it happened, the Terrorgeist lost combat. I think it crumbled a little bit, and then once the general died, it just popped. So after that, yeah, it was pretty much a steamroll, and Matthew got the big win on there. So that pushed me into my 3rd round match. This one was against Chay Davies-Smith. He was also running Warriors of Chaos and also a Triple Dragon list. So I thought, great, from one Triple Dragon game to another. Chay ended up finishing 55th, although I think he had a really rough first day because second game he played against Charlie with his vampires, and third game he played against me and my vampires. So a pretty tricky game for him. But what did he take? He took a Chaos Lord on the General. General Chaos Lord on a Dragon with a Mark Zinj. Flail, Favor of the Gods, pretty similar to Matthew there. Exalted Champion on a Manticore. Undivided Flail, Armor Meteoric Iron, Favor of the Gods, Crown of Everlasting Conquest. So very similar to what Matthew did, except a Manticore instead of a Dragon. I think that did really make a difference, but not a significant, I think. I gave him a few spare points to take an Exalted Sorcerer, who was on a Steed, Undivided, level 2, Battle Magic, Spell Familiar, Lore Familiar. He ended up taking Oaken Shield and no, it was Fireball and Arcane Urgency. I don't think he did a huge amount of damage with that, so in the end, I don't know if that was the right move. He did have 7 Chaos Knights, Mark of Khorne, lots of attacks, Champion, Standard Bearer, 5 Chaos Hounds, 5 Chaos Hounds, 18 Forsaken, Forsaken by Khorne again, and a Warpfire Dragon as well. What was the scenario? It was a Summon Elemental Spirit. So there should have been a Summon Elemental Spirit template in the center of the battlefield. Scatters 2d6, beginning of each player turn, cannot be dispelled, does damage to stuff. To be honest, we remembered this at the very beginning. We read the rules, and then we did not use it because we completely forgot. It wasn't intentional. So unfortunately, this part of the special rules we didn't actually get. I think it would have made a difference, but not. I think it would have just made the game shorter, to be honest. We played Close Quarters, which is the one where you have impassable terrain, I believe, at the sides. Strategic Locations 2 and Domination. I didn't quite get a picture of the deployment there, but you can basically see me deploy my units around the middle with the Terrorgeist on each side, and Chay deploying everything sort of towards the middle, going towards my Graveguard block. He managed to... It was all about position. It was a very positioning heavy first couple of turns, because you were basically looking to... Or he was looking for good angles to charge my Graveguard. So it's basically a game of, can you get 3 dragons into Graveguard? And if you give them that charge, it's going to be painful. If you don't, maybe you have a chance. As it happened, I believe the Warpfire got screamed off, I think. Exploded at some point. And you can see on the right-hand side here, he has his Manticore and his Chaos Dragon. And that thing in the very bottom corner is actually my Terrorgeist. I managed to finagle it in such a way with reserve moves and everything else that I was able to face his general there as well. At one point, I think at this stage, I was fighting something over here. This is it. This is it. Yes, I'm remembering this now. Here, what happened was Chay charged his Manticore Exalted Champion into the Graveguard in the flank, thinking he'll win combat, stay in combat. His general comes in and goes for the kill. But actually, what happened was he just rolled really, really terribly, and I managed to get more combat res than him. And in the end, he lost combat. I don't believe it. I don't remember if he fled specifically. I think he did actually flee, a break from combat. But what that meant is that my Graveguard could turn around and actually face his general and then charge him the next turn. And that's essentially what happened. At that point, his general dragon went down. It actually also fled off the board. And then it was, sort of like clean up after that. And I was trying to get the rest of his army. It wasn't a great result for Chay. It did end up being a big 20-0. But he took it with a smile on his face. I believe he had a very rough day one, but he was a great opponent, and he actually got my most sporting vote, I believe, as well. So that was the end of day one. We ended up heading out to the curry house after that with pretty much the entirety of Team Wales. That's all of us there in the middle. We've got Nick in the bottom right from Team France. We've got a few people from sort of like friends of Team Wales. And on the right-hand side, you can sort of see a few pictures. You see Cardiff Castle then in the top left. It looks... If you put a red light on that, I reckon that could be a completely different video, but hey, if you get that inside joke. On the right-hand side, you see the sort of Cardiff city centre with the castle there in the background. Just very, very good fun. And then we're on to Sunday morning. So... woke up nice and early. There was an hour extra because the clocks had changed. So after a good night out on the Saturday, curry, maybe a little heavy metal club, we headed back to the venue to get on with our games 4 and 5. Really, really good venue. Fantastic, man. I'm really jealous of the Welsh guys having this. And then we have a look at the prizes. Now, the image is not amazing, but hopefully you'll get to see them a little bit closer. Now, Ollie had prizes for each. He had these slate medals for each individual best in race. He had trophies for best painted. He had trophies for all sorts. The prize support in this was phenomenal. Honestly, probably the best that I have seen at an event in the UK so far. Amazing quality kit. Definitely the top tier. Definitely phenomenal. That was the last place spoon. These were dice that we got for podium placings. There was paintbrushes, these really, really cool high quality trophies, and some dice bags you can see in the corner there as well, and some spray paint that we got given as prizes as well, and a few other trophies for best army and most sporting, etc. So a really, really good haul. Money really went into this, and yeah, you can definitely tell it was quality. So in my game 4, I faced against Dan Jarrett. He was the Team Scotland captain of the 2025 team. He took his Bretonnian Exiles, so it was the only two Scots at the event facing up against each other in round 4. He had a really good first day. I think day 2 was a little bit rougher for him. He did end up finishing 40th in the end. And what did he take? So he took a Baron on a Royal Pegasus with the Frontier Axe, Virtue of Knightly Temper for the extra attacks, Charm Shield, Cromwell Great Helm, all of that stuff. Hal the Pal, a Paladin, who was also on a Barded Pegasus, that's right, BSB with the Banner of Shalon, Spell Eater Axe for the MR2, Charm Shield, Virtue of the Impetuous Knight for the additional charge range. He had the Green Bastard, the Green Knight, of course, and Tweedledee Baron, which was also on a Royal Peg. Not really any extra gimmicks there, Charm Shield, Lance, but an extra attacking piece, so quite nasty. 14 unpleasant peasant bowmen with skirmishers, 14 peasant bowmen, and 6 widow riders, which are mounted knights of the realm. With, I think, full command. Oh no, he kept them pretty cheap. 28 gong farmers, which are the yeoman guard. They were full command with all the tips and tricks that you usually expect. He also had a big unit of 5 Pegasus Knights with First Knight Champion and the Standard Bearer, the Errantry Banner. Very, very nasty. And 2 Bombards. Foxflower, and the Bombastic Bard. What was the scenario? It was the Asylum. So essentially you had a building in the middle, which was a special feature, and at the end of each player turn, whoever controlled it, which meant you had to be within 6 inches of the middle, you had to take a leadership test or fall back in good order. No rerolls, has to be your own leadership test, and even Undead would fall back in good order. Undead having exceptionally bad leadership and relying very much on their BSB meant that I wanted nothing to do with being in the middle of that until the very, very, very end, especially my zombies being leadership too. Other than that, it was the Chance Encounter, which is the table quarters one, with a special feature, of course, and the Domination as well. So we deployed. I deployed in the bottom left corner. He deployed it in the top right. That's the building in the middle there that you see. And I believe I might have... I got given turn 1. So I went forward, moved things along, got myself into good screaming range, and proceeded to sort of wail on a few bits and pieces. I think at this point, I believe I made a mistake. I sent my Terrorgeist. I think he killed the first Terrorgeist with... Yeah, that Terrorgeist on the left-hand side, I believe it got shot by cannons. The Terrorgeist on the right-hand side charged some peasants, which then bloody rallied, and I couldn't reach the peasants to kill them because I rolled terrible in my pursuit, and I couldn't tear off the cannon either. So in the end, that got charged by the Pegasus Knights. They ended up being in the far right here, so I just gave him a Terrorgeist. It was really amateurish for me, to be 100% honest. However, what that did mean is I ended up being sort of round the top of that building. And what Dan did here is I believe in the previous turn, oh, you don't actually see it here, but this is his Yeoman Guard here, which I engaged with my Grave Guard. I won combat, and rather than pursuing, I turned around to face the Pegasus Knights that were previously behind me. And then I charged my Grave Guard in and just screamed everything I could at these Pegasus Knights. I ended up actually killing all the Pegasus Knights, but keeping the characters alive, which was actually a problem because they were all stubborn and they were all individual units and they were falling back on their own. And what that meant is he could then actually charge out his Pegasus Lords to then go after my general, which is a problem. I, to be honest, got lucky to keep my general alive. I believe he was down to maybe 1 or 2 wounds, and his Pegasus were down to like 1 or 2 wounds as well. It was actually a really, really close game in the end because I controlled more table quarters and I controlled the terrain in the middle as well as killing enough stuff. It ended up being a 16-4 to me, so really, really tight maneuverable game. That takes me on to my last game, Game 5, which was against Jack Cropper with his Tomb Kings. Quite a monster mash Tomb Kings list. He had the Bone Dragon General with the Armor of Destiny. That's the 4 award one with the Biting Blade for magical attacks. Another Tomb King on Bone Dragon with the Armor of Ages, Talisman of Protection, and Sword of Might, more magical attacks. He had 2 Necrosphinx, so nice 4-stomp monster list. He had a Mortuary Priest who was his Hierophant with Illusion level 1, Enkil's Canopy, which I believe is gets rid of remains in place spells if you pass a leadership test. He had 48 Skeleton Warriors, which were in Phalanx, with the Champion of Burning Blade and Death Mask of Anut, which I think causes terror, and the Mirage Banner on the Standard Bearer. 8 Horse Archers, 8 Horse Archers, 8 Horse Archers, and 10 Skeleton Skirmishers. Now, that's quite a lot of capturing core, which was a worry because I thought there's quite a lot of things here to capture. However, the special scenario worked against him in that sense, and this is what happened here. So this was encirclement, which is where you deploy in sort of like off center, with strategic locations 4. And here, every time you score an objective, you roll a dice. On a 1 or a 2, you suffer D3 wounds with no saves allowed. On a 3+, it was normal. So all of my capturing units were unit strength 30 or 40. So me losing 3 or 4 zombies, 2 or 3 zombies was not a problem. I didn't really care about that. However, for Jack, every time that he lost D3 models, it happened to just chipped away at his units of 8 skeletons, and it basically took them all below scoring. So actually, this scenario really, really hampered Jack, and he wasn't able to raise them fast enough, really. The way he deployed was he put all the monsters up the top here. I put some zombies in front of him with a Terrorgeist, and keeping my Graveguard here in the middle to go left or right, depending on how he goes. His big block with a Hierophant was in the top right. Skeletons scattered throughout. He pushed everything forward. I believe he actually went first. Yeah, that looks like he did go first. He pushed everything forward. I pushed things forward. You know, I mean, it's vampire. So he burst through a unit of zombies. My magic in this game was uncontested. He was really, I mean, he only had a level 1, I suppose, but he just couldn't dispel any of my spells. So my Banshees were flying pretty much the whole entire game. And it meant that they could fly around his big units, his big characters, and just start screaming on stuff. He lost a Necrosphinx to screams. I think he lost a second Necrosphinx to screams. He eventually lost at least one, or maybe even both Bone Dragons to screams as well. Like, it was just, yeah, quite painful there. As you see in the right-hand side, as his Necrosphinx are whittling down, I have my 2 Terrorgeists and a unit of zombies angling for his big block of skeletons. And that's basically what they did, is they started maneuver around them, and then eventually at some point charged them and started to take units. I learned by game 5 that you don't want to send Terrorgeists on their own. If you're going to send them in pairs. They might actually have a chance of doing something. And in the end here, I believe, yeah, I did in fact kill everything. So between myself and the scenario objective, we managed to kill most of Jack's army. So I think Jack got a, what did Jack get? Jack got a Cairn Wraith and something else, 60 points. A unit of zombies. And I got his army and killed some stuff. So that was a nice big 20-0 on the table 5. So it was after that, it was on to some prizes and awards. The awards, as I showed you earlier, were phenomenal in this event. I mean, Ollie really pulled the stops out. The trophies are really, really nice, premium quality, and so were the prize support there as well. So who came where and who won what? Have a look. Tom Knight ended up getting the wooden spoon. He lost all 5 games with a big smile on his face. Beastman Brayherd is what he took. He was a really nice chap. I spoke to him in the end. He did say he had a fantastic time. So it takes a lot to come last, lose all your games, and still have a smile at the end as well. Middle of the pack was Mike Kavanagh. He was literally middle of the board, 40 people above him, 40 people below him. So he got the middleman award. Ergo Fargo, who runs the big Facebook group. Warhammer Facebook group, he won the spookiest costume. I don't have a picture of it here, but I believe he came as a Skaven Plague Priest type character. Real shame I didn't actually get a picture of it, but yeah, it was quite creepy actually. There was a few other people that were dressed in cosplay stuff as well. Then we go on to individual awards. So Dan Broxham, he won the best single miniature for his Wood Elves. Now I believe that is, I don't remember if that was a dragon or something, but some sort of Wood Elf on a beetle. it was really cool. I voted for it as well. There was a lot of really good contenders, but that one was a clear winner there as well. Mikael Diaz won the best baggage cart with his very, very cool dwarf Slayer cart with vegetables. That was really, really, really cool. And he's off Team Wales, so it was nice to have at least one of the awards stay in Wales. Most Sporting went to Chris Burmis. Now, Chris, Adam West there in the forefront as well. Chris and Adam actually got the same amount of votes, and they ended up dicing off, and the lowest won, and it was in fact Chris. So well done to Chris for getting Most Sporting, and a note to Adam for almost getting it as well. Best Army went to Jack Ward for his very, very impressive vampire counts. It was phenomenal. These pictures here were actually taken by Ollie's partner, Polly. Really, really good pictures, really phenomenal. Credit to her for doing all the hard work on these. It was a really nice army, and it had lots of like glowing LEDs, and it had all it needed, and a really nice display board. All it really needed was just a bit of like dry ice and smoke or something in it. It could have been like Games Workshop studio level quality. It was really, really cool. Spookiest miniature went to Owen Williams for his wrinkly abomination. It looked pretty horrendous, as abominations do, and it had a really cool display board there as well. So well deserved for a win there. Now we're on to the general places, and we have in third place Tom Brzozowski with his Chaos Dwarves. Tom actually drew on the amount of victory battle points with second place, and it was really down to the next tiebreaker to break it. And in second place, you've got myself with my vampire count. So very, very happy with that. Managed to jump on the podium after losing my game 2, I believe, and getting some solid results afterwards. So quite happy with that. But in first place was Jack Ward with his vampire count. So Jack ended up winning both first place and also the best army. So a double hero there as well. So well done, Jack. There's is just a picture with all the best generals as well, best in race. At this event, the best in race went to the first player, the highest ranked player, who did not get a podium finish, essentially. So none of the guys on the podium, apart from Tom, I guess, because there was only one Chaos Dwarf. But myself and Jack, we didn't get best in race, but we did get a trophy otherwise. So it was really nice for everyone else to get it. And then there's ourselves on the right hand side there on the podium as well. The swag was really quite impressive. Other than these really, really cool trophies, we also got a really nice leather dice bag, which is really, really cool, and some really high quality dice as well. It was the prizes were phenomenal, really, really nice. Ollie did pull out the stops on that. And there's Charlie, ended up with a blue spray can. Well done, Charlie. A well deserved award. Next day was Monday for me. This is Cardiff Airport. This is Monday lunchtime. This is like 1 p.m. outside Cardiff Airport, and it's empty. It's like a ghost town. Really, really weird. I wasn't expecting this for like a major city airport. This is the check-in desks. There is nobody there. Like, this is just really, really weird. Edinburgh Airport, in comparison, is absolutely rammed. There was one person there, and they were the person checking me in, essentially. So, but I did end up making it home fairly safe eventually. So how did I do on my predictions on the Friday? If you're on following my YouTube already, you'll have seen I made some predictions. And I thought in first place would be Charlie. Being this pack being quite favourable towards vampires, I thought he would take it all out. But he ended up having a tough couple of games, and he didn't quite get the first place. I thought Charlie would have got it with 87 points, but instead it was Mop Ward, Jack, with vampires with 84 points. So same army, wrong person, score around about there. In second place, I thought Keith, also with vampires, being a very strong vampires player, would cinch it with 84 points out of 100. And in fact, it was myself, so with vampires as well, and only 78 points. Again, right army, wrong person, and the points are not that close at all. In third place, I thought wee Jack with his Bretonnian Exiles would get it with 80 points. And instead, it was Big Tom with his Chaos Dwarves with 78 points. So we're around about there on points, but completely different army and different person. So Jack did end up in the top 10, but not quite in the top 5. In fourth place, I gave it to Sam with his High Elves with 77 points. And in fact, it was actually Albert with his Tomb Kings with 77 points. So I got bang on prediction on the battle points, wrong army and wrong person. But Sam, I think, finished 6th or 7th, so he was just out of the top 5 there. And I did predict put myself in 5th place with 76 points. And in the end, I actually got 78 points. So my prediction for my own score was pretty good, but I didn't realize it would put me higher up the table than it did. So I ended up finishing 2nd rather than 5th. In 5th place was Charlie with 76 points. So 5th place was correct for army, correct for points, but just the wrong person. And then I thought there would probably be about 6 undead in the top 10, and there was only 5, and no Cathay in the top 10, and there was no Cathay in the top 10. So I think overall, as far as my predictions go, I'd say that's pretty darn good. You know, a solid B+ for predictions. Yeah, enough to be spooky. But what was the final verdict? Should you attend the Welsh Open 2026 if you have the chance? And the result is yes. A resounding yes. It's a 10 out of 10 event. Ollie did a fantastic job. The venue, Firestorm Games, is really, really good. Probably one of the best, probably the best non-GW venue in the UK. Really, really, really good. The food was amazing. It was great. The bar was well stocked, and the cider is highly recommended. Nice and airy, nice and breezy. Really, really good. I could not fault it for that. Ollie ran a really tight ship. There was lots of fun and banter. There was chat before the event, people talking crap to each other beforehand. Everything ran on time. The rules pack was out in advance. Everything was nice and clear, and there was absolutely no issues that I saw on the day as well. The prize pool was phenomenal, the best that I've seen anywhere, actually. Even beating GW's own really, really nice trophies. But overall, Ollie did a great job on the prizes. Great prizes, great prize support, and lots of people walked away with things as well. And the crowd was phenomenal. It was really, really good fun to see everybody. It really felt like a tight-knit, close community there. And yes, even the tolls were excellent. So definitely recommend you do the next Welsh Open if you get the chance. If you got this far, I suspect you probably are already subscribed, and if you're not, this is the time to do it. So smash that like button, give us a comment, let me know if you like this format, if there's anything else you want to change, or anything that you want me to amend. I am always looking out for suggestions. Also, if you can, please use the hype function on this video. This is really built for small channels like mine to get out there and to the wider audience, and really appreciate it. We'll see you next time. Thank you very much. Cheerio.